Hi, welcome back to Technology Channel's videocast. I'm Darian Krokora, CEO of PartnerPath, and thank you for joining me again today. I am very excited to have Jay McBain, Principal Analyst at Forrester, join me today. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Diane. Glad to be here. Thanks.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your recent Forrester wave on through channel marketing automation, which we're going to call TCMA from here on out. So first question, why do you evaluate TCMA from PRM? You know, we both came from this kind of PRM-ish world. And is there a benefit, do you guys see at Forrester from being kind of that, or working with this best of breed versus it being an all suite PRM product?
Yeah, I think two answers to that quickly. One is I counted up every software company that builds software for channels of any type. And then I broke it into 8 different categories, one of those TCMA. But out of those, 95 companies, 40 of them do some level of through channel marketing, co-marketing, co-selling with partners. And as part of this process, we pick the top 15 of them. So very much an industry that's defined. And then the second part of it is I think there's 3 stages here. We went through a CRM phase for about 15 years, working on the direct sales side of the business. We went through marketing automation for the last 10 years, really bolting down the direct marketing side of the organization. So you can't be a VP of sales or marketing anymore without one of these platforms and processes and everything else. There is no art left. It's all science.
It's all science.
Now the third stage is channel. We still have channel chiefs that are being hired that don't have a platform. They don't have platform knowledge, automation, everything else. And I think this is the third stage. 75% of world trade goes indirectly. And we're still not at a stage that, people have an end-to-end process for doing this. And I think 2018 is the kickoff of this stage.
Right, and I've used that chain from Forrester for years as I was selling a PRM product around, right? This is the next focus of automation throughout an organization, right? You even can start further back than that in ERP, but why, like you kind of mentioned a little bit, TCMA different than PRM? Do you think, how long do you think TCMA will be independent than PRM? Or is that 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or will it always remain its own product? Or do you see kind of these unifying into a bigger suite?
Yeah, it's a great question. We get that a lot. There's 95 companies. Do I have to build a stack of 7 different companies to do, channel data management and incentives and loyalty and engagement, enablement, all these other things? Do we have to keep, integrating stuff all together, or is there going to be this end-to-end suite? And in the last 12 months, we've seen a lot of private equity pour into this market. There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions. We're starting to see companies with a mission to draw out this full end-to-end channel management suite. And so I'm writing a PRM wave now for the next 3 or 4 months. And I think it'll be the last one Forrester ever does. The PRM side of it, part of that was gobbled up by the single source of truth. And a lot of the PRM functionality has become feature function inside, on top of, behind, underneath the CRM, to enable that. Marketing automation, though, is a carry-on of, I think, the general marketing tools. And I think it has a lot of longevity left in it, where you're going to have some horizontal applications that focus on channel management. And then obviously you're going to have this piece of that.
Very interesting that think that PRM, this will be the last PRM wave you do. And I'm so thankful that I won't be in it. Very nice. So what pieces of functionality do you think are critical for this TCMA, since it's still, as you said, unique and probably will be unique more kind of in the marketing side rather than in the kind of, we can see PRM kind of going to the CRM side, but some of this TCMA almost going to the Marketo HubSpot side. So what do you think is some of the functionality that's required for a great TCMA?
Yeah, it's a great question. And this software is a mile wide, and it has to cover, the whole suite of governance. You've got all kinds of users that do it yourself, do it for me, do it on behalf of. So it's got to be really good at that stuff. And the traditional HubSpots and Marketos and Eloquas and Actons and Pardots of the world don't focus on that third tier or that third party channel.
Mhm.
It's very much more of a direct type of focus. So when you're dealing with email campaigns using double blind lists, when you're focusing on social and search at a distributed local level, the technology that allows concierges to come and do self-service on behalf of a customer, all of that doesn't exist in the marketing automation, which gives rise to this through channel marketing automation and has all of that technology built in.
So without giving away any names, because we want them all to go look at the wave, what are some of the innovators doing? What's kind of cool out there?
We were surprised. So the one thing is I took a very wide view of the industry. This was not just a technology, telecom industry view of the world. For the first time, we went to all 27 industries. And I started looking at, Budweiser bottlers and stockers. And I looked at how to sell a John Deere tractor and how to sell lawn furniture. And, all these different industries are very interesting and very nuanced. When you jump from pharma over to different things in insurance and finance and everything else.
You did work with Cummins around engines, right? I mean,
and there's some massive, massive companies that were a little bit outside of our aperture because of our, more of our technology focus. I think all of us. But when you get underneath all the lexicon, language, and words and music, the problems that these companies are having are similar. So the workflow, the logic, everything else underneath is the same. And those companies that are able to put a language layer on top of it. So if you're in insurance, you're talking about wholesalers. If you're in telco, you're talking about agents and sub-agents and all the different, it looks like the New York subway map, when you put together a channel in any industry. But as long as you label the stations and understand the flow of the supply chain, it's all the same underneath. It's just a subway.
Right.
And
It could
that was
be
some of
London or Italy.
Yeah, there it is.
So were there any surprises? Again, without giving away too many answers.
There were. One of the surprises is how mature the industry is. Of the 15 companies, the average age was 20 years old.
Shut up.
They've been a long way. So when you look at marketing automation, when you look at a lot of the MarTech stack with the 7,000 logos, these companies have been around for days and some of them minutes.
Right.
These companies have been around for decades. Some of them stretch back into the 80s. They were digital agencies. Sorry, they were marketing agencies. Traditional.
It was digital.
Then they became digital, and then they put their tool set together to help their customers do more self-service. And a lot of these have a very different evolution to them. So this is very mature. We think it's growing to a $4.5 billion industry in the next 5 years.
Wow.
The growth rate is 25% compounded. And it's a faster growth rate than any other part of the MarTech stack. So we think this third stage is right to take off. I think the other two stages, companies feel that they've buttoned down the direct side of it. And here's this channel over on a silo. And, the boardroom, the CFO is looking more seriously at the channel and want it managed at the 7th decimal point. Mm-hmm. And these tools are mandatory, to be able to do that. And you see channel chiefs now that are much more scientific than they ever have been in the past.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, we've seen that in the last 3 to 5 years, that the channel chiefs have much more requirements around data. Their CEOs are asking them for data and trends and dashboards and scorecards and much more, ROI and, return on channel investment, right? That's a big topic that we've always kind of talk about. So seeing that more systems and tools continue to come out, last question is, with this fairly busy field of 15, and you said you even narrowed it down to 15, which is still a lot. 15 is a lot in a wave. Any recommendations for companies that are, these vendors, particularly our high-tech vendors that are customers of both of us, any recommendations for how they go about evaluating these, other than, of course, read the wave because you've got all the answers for them?
Yeah, it's the simple answer. It's about a heat map. All 40 companies that I mentioned, or the 15 that we profiled, don't fit in all spaces. So look at the sub-industry, look at the specific industry verticals, the geography that you're in, look at the other technology that's running in your back end, and as you look at the nuances to your channel as compared to others, you narrow the list pretty quickly. with so many different permutations and combinations out there, we find that these companies tend to specialize. And again, if you're selling lawn tractors, I could narrow the list for you down to about 3 companies very fast. Not only that understand the language of selling lawn tractors, but have done it for so long and have the case studies built that they're going to be learning on somebody else's dime, not yours. And you can bring somebody in that has success already, and your time to revenue, your time to success will be much faster.
And once they get down to that 3, is it a feature functionality kind of thing? Is it a customer growth opportunity? I know I'm probably going beyond what you are willing to talk about in terms of their evaluation, but I know you looked at these guys very deeply, having been part of a wave in my past.
Yep.
I know the scrutiny that Forrester puts in on these companies. So once they kind of get quickly, and as you said, get down to their consideration set, that's really where we see the hard work come. Any tips?
Yeah, so we don't tell people who to buy or what to buy. It's really up to them. But we can help narrow, and I think you can help narrow the field just so that they don't waste time. But if you're looking for any major purchase like this, you probably want to evaluate at least 2 to 3 vendors, and from there there's a lot of different factors. There's a warm fuzzy feel of do they understand me? Do I get along with these people? Do they, talk the right language in terms of my environment and what we have to integrate with and what kind of partners I have? And, have they, learned, do they have the scars to prove? And then, it gets to feature, function, benefit, it gets to price. I mean, there's all the things that come after that. But in the case of this market, it doesn't come to the lowest price. Hey, $399 a month, sold.
Done.
Everybody's within a range, and it comes to that best fit in the exact unique requirements of that customer. And there's no way you or I could ever get to that level of detail without going through multiple different reviews and everything else.
So there will be some art on top of this science as they come to some of those more fuzzier feelings around how that works.
We hope it's mostly based on science to the 7th decimal point, and that's why it's not to the 9th decimal point, because there's still some warm and fuzzies.
Some warm fuzzy feelings. Well, Jay, thank you so much for willing to come on and share your insights and thoughts around the TCMA wave. It's always a very interesting read. If you guys don't have it, I'm sure be a Forrester customer and you can get it. And thank you, and we'll see you out there on the road somewhere, Jay.
All right, absolutely.